on, Bill. Go back.
Teams of mules pulled wagons of freight throughout the western United States before the Civil War of 1861. When the vital mineral borax was discovered and mined in Death Valley, California, these long-line teams were used to haul 20 tons of borax from the Harmony Borax Works to the railhead in Mojave, California. The 165-mile trail was used from 1884 to 1888 until the business went bankrupt and hauling borax from the Harmony Borax Works was no longer profitable. Soon, railroads overtook the burden of transporting the mineral. The bulk of borax production in the U.S. was now controlled by Francis M. Smith. In an attempt to expand the use and market of borax, his company branded a borax powdered soap, 20 Mule Team brand borax white laundry soap. At the turn of the century, the 20 Mule Team would become recognizable to the entire country. The team appeared in promotional events, including the Rose Parade and President Woodrow Wilson's 1917 inauguration. A radio show followed in the 30s, a movie in 1940, and a TV show in 1952. By 1975, a declining interest in the Mule Team and Westerns in general relegated the 20 Mule Team to obscurity. In 1998, mule skinner Bobby Tanner recreated the team for the 1999 Rose Parade. For the next 10 years, Bobby Tanner drove 20 mule teams in California, Nevada, and Idaho. New roadworthy wagons were soon needed, and in 2009, the Death Valley Conservancy began raising funds to build them.
The way it all started, Bobby Tanner and a filmmaker, Ted Fay, who wrote a lot of books and documentaries about the mules, they took me to breakfast one day and they told me they wanted to rebuild the wagons. The old wagons were not usable, and they wondered if I'd be interested in helping, and I gave them some ideas, and I said, well, we needed to come up with an international event so people would be willing to contribute to it. So we came up with the inauguration parade, because it just happened that worked out to be 2017, which was the 100th anniversary since the mules came to Washington for Woodrow Wilson's inauguration parade.
The wagons behind me are exact duplicates of the original borax wagons that are at the Harmony mine in Death Valley. We went down and took measurements from them, every aspect of the wagons, made and drew blueprints from them to where we could make an exact copy. So the wagons behind me, set side by side of the original wagons, are the same wagons. They're designed to haul 10 ton apiece of borax, and they weigh about 83 to 8,400 pounds apiece empty. All the hubs on these wheels actually came from this farm right here, from Garen Stutzman's farm. Garen and Donna donated the white oak trees. They were blown down on this property. He heard about the project and donated the blocks that we turned the hubs from. So the hubs are white oak. The rest of the wheels are red oak. Some of that came out of New Hampshire in our hunt to find oak that was big enough, heavy enough to make these wheels. So some of that came out of New Hampshire. The rest of the gear, there's ash in there that came out of Indiana, and the main part of the boxes are yellow poplar, which is also a Midwest Indiana lumber. The 8-inch wide tires are designed for the soft sand in the desert. So when they had this much of a payload on them, that they would not sink in the sand, but they would float over the sand. That's why they're 8 inches wide. These wheels are exact same size as the wagons that are at the Harmony mine, but they are larger. For the larger the wheel, the easier they roll. But it also limits the turning ability of these wagons too. But since the main route, that 165 miles that they traveled, was mostly straight away, not much turning, You know, they could go with the largest diameter possible, but still get them to turn through the curves that were necessary at the time. This wagon, because of its mass, was a challenge in the size of the iron, the size of the iron in the forge work, the forge welding itself. Wheels on a normal wagon that would weigh 120 pounds, these weigh over 1,000 pounds. So the logistics of working with this was a challenge. The basic concept is still the same as any wagon, but because of the mass and size of it, that was a challenge, yes.
The way I got involved with the 20 mule team, I met Bobby Tanner at a mule sale in Tennessee, and he was buying a bunch of black mules that looked like the kind of mules I like. They look a lot like Pat and Pearl here. And so after he bought about 8 or 10 or 12 of them, I said, if you don't mind me asking, I said, it's none of my business, but what do you do with them all? And he said, well, I drive them. And he went on to tell me that he was going to have the 20 mule team. And I said, well, I'm familiar with that. I saw it in Bishop, California last year. And he said, well, I'm going to have them in the parade. These mules will be in the parade this coming year. And I went out and worked with him, and I've been involved with the 20 mule team ever since. That's been about 4 years, I think.
We're outfitters out in California. These mules make their living packing tourists into the high country of the Sierra Nevada mountain range in the summer months out in California. And then this 20 mule team appearance is kind of a side job for them. And they're a bunch of very good mules. They come from the eastern part of the United States. They originally came from Tennessee and Kentucky and Missouri and all of those parts of the country. And now they've come back here for this appearance for the 20 mule team. We hauled the mules. We had 2 big gooseneck trailers. We hauled with the mules in the trailers, and we had a semi with the 3 big wagons on the semi, and we had a big road trip from California to Maryland.
Without the Tanners, the wagons wouldn't exist today in America. Bobby Tanner has been working in this for many years. He owns the mules and Reds Meadows Resort Pack Station up in Mammoth Lakes, California, and those mules work all summer long in the mountains packing, carrying visitors and tourists. But it was Bobby Tanner that really pushed this building of the wagons and drawing others in to help, like myself and Donna. And he and his wife, Claudia and Bobby, they have put so much personal treasure and time to do this for America. It's really a wonderful thing they did. These wagons will last hundreds of years. A lot of people involved in this event that without them, the wagons and the event wouldn't have happened.
Our foundation is the Jared Harrison Memorial Fund. My son was killed in an accident when he was 26, and he loved mules. So we have a fund that we give scholarships to 4-H, FFA, and mule riders through Mule Harrison Mule Days, which is our main fundraiser for our scholarship fund. And I met the Stutzmans through Harrison Mule Days, and they needed a 501c to work with in order to get the mules from the West Coast to the East Coast, because that becomes a very expensive endeavor.
My wife Donna called Sue Harrison and asked her, and in just a matter of minutes, Sue had expressed a great interest and a desire to help. She said this is exactly the kind of program that Jared would love to have been involved in.
Their primary fundraising event every year is the Harrison Mule Days, which happens in October, and we participate and we have a lot of fun with that. But they stepped right up when they knew we needed to raise the money, and it was helpful to have a 501c3 so that people's contributions could go into that. And they were just very generous with helping us organize the fundraising effort. We couldn't have done it without the Harrison family.
I think the sponsors at all levels have been absolutely fantastic. We could not have done this without them.
When we heard that the 20 Mule team was going to be coming back east, we were very early to jump in and say, wouldn't that be wonderful fun? And so we were very glad to be partial sponsors of this event and to be back here.
I just knew we had so many good friends, local businesses, and people who had an interest in this, and I really believed we could raise the money, and our friends and family and people we don't even know stepped up, and so many people contributed and so many organizations.
And we had probably over 200 sponsors that sent money in. And so we had, I think, 160 or 70 at the sponsors party, and they've just been fantastic. And of course, we had a great band there. Well, the volunteers are just so fantastic. The proper name for all those volunteers is mule skinners. They just did a fantastic job, and we're ever grateful for them. And I know that they're all very proud and pleased to have been a part of this 100th anniversary celebration.
Being in the outfitting packing industry, we've grown up with mules. We've become admirers necessarily of their personalities, their loyalty, their amazing serving attitude, and we've worked with them all our lives. My husband's an incredible mule man, and just have come to respect and admire so much about them as working animals, but they're part of our family and we love them. So our mules are a big part of our life.
I've always wanted to see the borax team. That was my dream in life. I just always liked the mule over a horse. I always favored a mule. It was really a great honor for me to be able to come down here and see these big wagons and all these mules. My wife and I own 10 mules of our own. You know, mules have just been a big part of our life, and still is. We enjoy our mules, and one thing about a mule, you can talk to a mule and he don't talk back. So that's a plus. That's really a plus with a mule.
Mules are fascinating. They're far less forgiving in a lot of ways, but then in some ways, when you really click with the mule, they really gift you with a lot.
They've had such a huge part in in our country, and yet in this day and age, nobody knows about them. Nobody knows about their contributions, what they've really done. They're a unique animal, and they're part of America.
Yeah, they're part of the true roots of America.
Yeah, and I think it's very fitting that they're in D.C. for the 4th of July parade.
You bet.
We all work together as a team.
Exactly.
And whether it's putting the mules over the chain to help steer, or controlling the wheelers, just wherever, we all work together as a team, and that's one of the unique things about this group of people that Bobby and Claudia put together. We all work together well, and we work with the mules, and it's kind of the whole deal is working in harmony with the mules and each other.
Spinning. We've got to usually demonstrate 4 spins in each direction, and that one back foot shouldn't really move too much, which should look really nicely there.
Man, our mules were really great for the Rose Parade, so I just hope we have a parade like the Rose Parade. You know, that's all I can say for that. They were really awesome, and I hope they're as big as superstars here as they were there.
We're going to be a part of it, hooking them up tomorrow. We're looking forward to that, and it's just a wonderful time here. Garen and Donna has done a fantastic job of putting this together, and I can only imagine the hard work and all that they've done here to make this happen with all those people here, and the food is wonderful, the place is wonderful, and it just it don't get no better.
I'm mounted on a horse, and I have the jerk line for the 2 lead mules, and that controls the mules up front. Now they also have to control the mules in the back. So the mules in the back are the ones that pull the wagons out and operate during the turns, and then I have to make sure that I know what's going on back there. So Bobby will communicate that with me. Usually we have a headset or something, and we all work together to get that done.
Okay, go straight now. Up, up! Up! Come on, mules, get up!
Once the mules were on the East Coast, their first appearance would be a free public event at the Queen Anne's County 4-H Park in Centerville, Maryland. On a warm morning in July, the team prepped the mules for a drive to the fairgrounds.
Lee, let's crisscross those chains again to the inside tug there.
the 4-H park event that we had for the public was very pleasing. People came out and they were absolutely taken back. There were people when they actually saw the mules being driven in the circle that had broke down crying. They came there to see mules and they saw more than they ever expected. It kind of makes me feel like that's what happened 100 years ago when the mules went to the Rose Bowl parade on January 2nd and then came to the inauguration parade on January 20th, and then they went to the World's Fair in New York from Washington, and in all 3 parades they won first place. But back in 1917, mules and oxen and horse-drawn carriages and implements and freight wagons were very, very common, a whole lot more common than an automobile. And for those mules and wagons to have won first place in those 3 major showings in 1916, just to me says how much it impressed the people of 2017, 100 years later.
Many people expressed their heartfelt appreciation to Donna and Garen after the team and wagon's appearance. A neighbor along the route wrote, "Thank you for being so caring. Words cannot express our gratitude. To bring a positive activity to this troubled world is awesome." We feel that Sir James Barrie said it best. Those who bring sunshine to the lives of others cannot keep it from themselves. Thank you. We can't say it enough for bringing sunshine not only to us, but to all who witnessed the historical mule team. With much appreciation, James and Dorothy Pauls. Along the route to the fairgrounds, the team ran into a bit of trouble. Garen Stutzman jumped in to help pull the wagons from a ditch. Later, Bobby showed his appreciation.
Everybody's heard about it. They've all heard the saying, "I'll be there with bells on." That means you had a good, successful journey, you didn't have any troubles. So if the teamster was going down the road and they got stuck in the ditch, another teamster came along, you gave them your bells. So if you showed up without your bells on, you mean you got stuck in the ditch or you had troubles on the way. Well, on Sunday, Garen, you earned these. You pulled us out of the ditch. It wasn't another team, it was a Jeep, but it still pulled us out of the ditch. You earned them fair and square.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you.
Gotta lift that end up higher.
craftsman and a half. The steel work and all, you
Ford can't do a Delmer's glue, huh?
Oh, give me a break. You just My best recollection is how enthusiastic the crowd was. The people that had never seen a mule had no idea what a mule was or anything else. They were 10 deep for a mile long on both sides of the road there. I was real pleased with the crowd and the people and how much they really liked having the mules.
That was great. That's the best parade we've ever done. That was great. The mules did great. Everything went absolutely perfect. Yep.